Disclaimer, do not take medical advice from YouTube. Please figure out for yourself what your risk factors are and decide from there. This is just a conversation. So, to catch you up on the events of the day, the debate has been reduced to what has happened to Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend's balls. Notice how I had to bleep and because we can't talk about it. Yeah, it's the most important thing going on in our lifetime, but we still can't talk about it. So, to recap events, Nicki Minaj pointed out that she was not going to go to the Met Gala because she wasn't going to just get the jab to go out and party. She added that her cousin was not going to get the jab because his friend had an adverse reaction. Basically, the shot, according to the tweet, had rendered him impotent. His testicles were swollen, and he was about to get married, but his fiance called off the wedding because of his impotence. Turns out that compassion stuff only goes so far. Am I right, ladies? I understand. Getting married is a big decision, and we should not marry someone that we're not 100% sure about. But can you give them a few months maybe to get over it? Maybe if this is the love of your life, have some patience with him. That's not the point. The point is, according to the tweet, the wedding was called off because of said impotence. For the record, I don't believe that this event actually happened, not to disparage Nicki in any way, but this sounds like an urban legend that got spread online. Now, she said she's going to produce the friend, so we'll wait and see. However, I continue to support Nicki 100% in this, primarily because she told Meghan McCain to go eat shit. I know it's petty, but whatever. I really liked that tweet. I'm really feeling Nicki Minaj's Twitter feed right now, and I'm glad she's not backing down. Now, the Minister of Health from Trinidad and Tobago has denied this claim. He says that they searched far and wide and they cannot find a case like this, not anywhere in the world. Now, official narrative deniers will say, notice I am not saying conspiracy theorists. We kind of touched on this in the last video, that the term conspiracy theorist has lost all meaning this past year. So I will not be using the term conspiracy theorist. I will be linking at the bottom a talk by journalist Sharyl Atkisson, and she goes into PSYOP campaigns online. I linked that before, but it's so important that I feel that if you are going to be online and you are going to really understand what's happening to you online and you're reading news online, you should be aware of the psychological games that are being played on you. So I'll be linking that talk. So official narrative deniers will say that the government of Trinidad and Tobago, of course, they're not going to admit to this, or that this person is not going to come forward and be public when such an embarrassing thing has happened to him. That's actually what Nicki has said in her tweets, that the friend does not want this made public. It is so embarrassing. Her cousin was mad at her for even saying it. So that's what official narrative deniers are going to say. To me, this does seem like a game of telephone. I've had people say to me that they had a friend of a friend who couldn't get health insurance because they had gotten the jab. So then I went to look about that. Claim, and I couldn't find anything about it. It turns out this was an urban legend. It happens all the time. Now, just because there are urban legends doesn't mean there are no adverse reactions. Both things can be true. There can be misinformation out there, and there can be genuine adverse reactions. All of the questions for vaccine hesitant people have not been answered just because we could not find the balls in question. This is where we are, okay? Let's not question it and just accept that this is where we are, and this is the stage of discourse that we're at. America 2021. So if the claim is indeed not true, as I'm suspecting it is not true, was Nicki wrong here? And the answer is yes, Nicki was wrong to repeat a claim to her 22 million followers that wasn't true. But you know who else was wrong recently? Rolling Stone. They repeated a claim about ivermectin. Also, I have to bleep out ivermectin. Isn't that crazy? They repeated a claim about ivermectin overdoses that wasn't true. And so did Rachel Maddow. So if we're going to be slinging the misinformation word around, let's sling it fairly. Nicki Minaj, a glam rapper, said something that wasn't true on Twitter. I can kind of expect that from Nicki Minaj. But these established journalists are also spreading misinformation claims on Twitter, and it's going around to far more than 22 million people. And they're not correcting themselves. Nicki's job isn't to give us fair and accurate information. It's actually a job of the media. So when you look who is screwing up the most in this situation, it is not Nicki Minaj. So I'll just put that out there. Maybe Nicki has to apologize, but so does Rolling Stone. Oh, and Rachel Maddow, journalist Rachel Maddow. Ugh, rolling my eyes so hard right now. So Variety, the entertainment newspaper Variety, came out with a story that said that Nicki Minaj was not going to the Met Gala because it required her to be vaccinated, and she was not vaccinated. Nicki Minaj has refuted that statement, although they were quoting her. Basically, what Nicki said was that she is not going to get the shot just to go to parties. And Variety reported it as she's protesting the Met Gala's vaccination requirement. This is news. They're going to report the most salacious headline. That's just the way it goes. A headline is like a quarter tweet. There's no room for nuance. They're going to report what gets clicks. That's all. It's no more complicated than that. Nicki also said that she needed more time to do research. And that's fair. I mean, she is putting something in her body, and so she should be comfortable with what she is putting in her body.
My school employs me to be an authority on the subject of ethics. I hold a PhD in ethics and ancient philosophy. And I'm here to tell you it's ethically wrong to coerce someone to take a vaccine. If it happens to you, you don't have to do it. If you don't want a COVID vaccine, don't take one. End of discussion. It's your own business.
Some incredibly petty person pointed out that Nicki did not do the research into the silicone injections which she put in her body, or the Botox injections which she put in her body. Maybe it's a fair point. I don't see what it has to do with this in particular. There are a lot of chemicals that we inject in ourselves every single day. We eat them, we put them on as makeup, as sort of personal hygiene products. We don't do the research on all of them. We just don't. And so it is fair to say, well, look, what's the difference between this shot and all the other stuff you pump into your body on a given day? Well, where do you draw the line? If someone wants to do research on this, they can. If they want to do research on their hair dye, they can too. If they want to do research on Red 40 or whatever the food coloring is in their food, they can do that research too. This is America, and anyone can do whatever research they want to do. And in my opinion, we can't force somebody to ingest something that they don't want to ingest. You're going to hold a vegan down and force them to eat steak because they're looking a little thin? No, we can't do that. So fair point on the injection, but in this particular case, I just don't see that it applies. It was also a little petty. I guess a lot of times we just trust that common chemicals are safe because they're available to us, and the powers that be would not make these chemicals available to us if they weren't safe. But we find out down the line that certain chemicals that we've been using this whole time.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers.
It's just these things that I guess we were naive. And we thought, oh, it's okay, but it really wasn't okay this whole time. And I don't see a problem with asking questions. I don't see a problem with identifying those things that weren't okay this whole time. Also, there are other people who believe in what Nicki Minaj is saying, and they are consistent. They don't put anything into their bodies. They don't take any injections. They read all of the labels, and they also have the same opinion as Nicki Minaj on this particular shot. So let's not throw away the baby with the bathwater. Just because she gets other injections as well doesn't mean she's not making a fair point. And if we take down Nicki Minaj, we're not going to take down the point she's making, because somebody else is going to come up and make that same point. I am not about to make her a working class hero because she refused to go to the Met Gala. Nicki has been to many problematic balls, award shows, galas in the past. It's just that she refuses this particular one. And can we talk for half a second about how tone deaf a Met Gala in 2021 actually is? I mean, it kind of looks like everything's falling apart. Y'all gonna get in your ball gowns and take pictures and then show them to us? Are you all out of your mind? We don't know what's gonna happen this winter and you're in your ball gown. Like, oh my God. It's so tone deaf. But Just because Nicki didn't go to this one doesn't automatically make her a hero. We humans have a tendency to project heroism on other people because we need heroes. I am certain that Nicki Minaj is going to fall short of our heroic expectations. And that's okay because she's a human being. She's not some mythical hero. She's a person who's making her objections public, and that's it. And that's okay. Just note how susceptible we are to demanding that other people be heroes. And they never said they were heroes to begin with. They just said that they had a thing to say. That having been said, I don't put it past 2021 to give us a pop hero either. That's what we deserve. We don't deserve anything any better than a glam rapper hero. We just don't. I mean, look around. There are bum fires at the corner right now. Are y'all in LA? I'm in LA. There's a bum fire around the corner. We don't deserve better than Nicki. Oh my God, we're glad we got her. Honestly, Nicki Minaj could have given any reason that she wasn't gonna go to this stupid tone-deaf ball, and I would have supported her. So I'm just gonna put that out there. What are we doing? I understand the French Revolution. I'm really understanding the French Revolution right now. And that's all I'll say about that. Now, the story has not ended with the tweet. Since it has happened, Joy Reid has come out against Nicki Minaj. She said that it was irresponsible for Nicki to use her platform of 22 million followers to spread misinformation. Now, whether Nicki is guilty of misinformation depends on whether or not you believe Ballgate really happened. Me personally, yeah. So Nicki Minaj has hit back at Joy Reid, calling her a lying homophobic coon. Joy Reid seems to have forgotten that there was a last year. All Nicki had to do was find a tweet of Joy saying some seriously anti-vax stuff. She also said some homophobic things and lied about it, but that's off topic. Joy's personal feelings on LGBTQIA+ shouldn't affect her reasoning on the vaccine. Still, was Nicki justified in calling her that? Seems pretty harsh, but in Nicki's defense, the two women are from different social classes. Joy Reid is from an educated class. She hangs with educated people. She makes quite a lot of money sounding smart. Nicki, not so much. She's very urban. She's very of the people and of the streets. To her, lying homophobic coon is simply an accurate statement. Now, to put this in terms that Joy Reid might understand, what Nicki meant to say was, Joy Reid, whose history with the LGBTQIA+ community is problematic, is misrepresenting what I said in order to curry favor with the elite who are paying her. See, what Nicki said took 3 words, and what I said took way more words. So I get why Nicki chose the language that she chose. However, it does not come off very well online. So that's funny. Okay, despite my sustained laughter, I don't support the rudeness or taunting in our public discourse. However, that must be weighted with the fact that all classes are allowed to speak in the vernacular. Maybe we as a society should have thought about the quality of public discourse before we elevated people whom we consider so vulgar. Now, left Twitter has lit into Nicki, but who has been accepting of her? That's right, the right, the far right. Particularly Tucker Carlson. Now, Nicki Minaj is sort of a pop culture hero on the far right. Let's always remember that the right is receptive to Nicki right now because they're the contrarian party. They're going to say anything contrary to what our current establishment is saying. Would they be saying this if Donald Trump were still president? Would they be questioning the vaccine if Donald Trump were the one asking people to get it? Even though he's technically asked people to get it, but they didn't want to hear it.
You know what? I believe totally in your freedoms. I do. Bree, you got to do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But you got, no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. If it doesn't work, you'll be the first to know, okay? I'll call up Alabama and say, hey, you know what? But it is working.
Anyway, let's just keep in mind what Kamala Harris said about the vaccine before she was vice president.
Say there's a vaccine that is approved and even distributed before the election. Would you get it?
Well, I think that's going to be an issue for all of us.
And it wasn't just VP Harris. Let's listen to what Mr. Mandate has to say.
If and when the vaccine comes, and it's not likely to go through all the tests that needs to be and the trials that are needed to be done.
These trials weren't scheduled to be done until 2023. And let's not forget that they destroyed the clinical trial control group by vaccinating them early. So what changed for vaccine hesitant blue team? It's the same vaccine. They didn't go manufacture a different vaccine. One side was talking shit. Now they're in power and they support it. Now the other side is talking shit. Make it make sense. It's not about the vaccine. These people are playing party politics. It's so toxic. They're dragging all of us into their nasty party politics. This is about science. This isn't about red team versus blue team. Now, many people legitimately oppose taking this shot. Everyone has a choice. Not here to judge. A lot of people legitimately oppose this shot. Are they listening to Nicki Minaj? Are they listening to Tucker Carlson? No. They're listening to Dr. Gert Vanderbush. They're listening to Dr. Robert Malone, who helped develop mRNA technology. They're not just listening to random people. There is a case to be made. Oh, you know who else they're listening to? You know who else they're listening to? They're listening to Dr. Peter Schirmacher, chief pathologist at the University of Heidelberg in Germany. This is a legit person who had been doing COVID autopsies, but switched to vaccine autopsies. They're not just listening to random memes. There are a lot of incredibly intelligent people out there who don't want to take this, and we're gaslighting them. The media is gaslighting these people. They're listening to different doctors. They're not listening to memes. They're listening to dissenting opinions. Say it with me, dissenting opinions. Not everybody has the same opinion on this. Not all scientists are on the same page. That's why I've stopped calling people conspiracy theorists. I call them people who are challenging the established narrative, which is okay. We're in a free country, right? Are we still in a free country? Did that change? I know a lot changed over this past year, but did it change that we're in a free country? Randy Jackson thinks we live in a free country. He tweeted that he supports Nicki Minaj using prayer and critical thinking to make her own choice. And I really respect Dr. Schirmacher because he is giving us real hard science. And I've been disappointed in the lack of science around this whole pandemic. We haven't seen real science done on this since they cooked this thing up in a lab 18 months ago. You thought I was going to say something serious? Yay, science. Yay, science. Trust the science, right, guys? Trust the science. Also, it's the last thing I'm going to say on this. Why haven't we been doing vaccine autopsies this whole time? It is shocking how few vaccine autopsies have been done. They just say, oh, there's not a problem. What's the autopsy say? There should be autopsies done on every one of them. Dr. Schirmacher actually doing the autopsy. That is a scientist. Applause. Applaud the scientist. Don't just trust the science. I want to see your science. Also, the lack of vaccine autopsies makes me seriously doubt that there are responsible people in charge right now. They say, oh, you got to trust the people in charge. You got to trust them to know what they're doing, but they can't even give me accurate data. Now, Dr. Fauci, Mr. Science, has something to say about this too. He says that he feels that Nicki Minaj is spreading misinformation. Fauci, by the way, was recently named by The Guardian as this year's sexiest man alive. Who worked the chain link better, Angelina Jolie or Dr. Anthony Fauci? You're delusional if you think this man is the sexiest man alive. But Dr. Fauci says that if you don't trust him, you don't trust the science. As if he is the Pope of science. Not how this works. It's not a religion. It's not a religion. Say it louder. It's not a religion. Dr. Fauci is the spokesperson for the official narrative. He's going to give us a hypothesis, and then we're going to check to see if the data supports his hypothesis. And if it doesn't, we're going to see somebody else who has a hypothesis and see if the data supports their hypothesis. There's no, I am the king of science. If you don't trust me, you don't trust the science. That is nonsense. That's religion. And if I'm going to join a religion, I want all the bells and whistles of the religion. I want a Latin mass. I'm not going to just join any old religion because it's on my TV. I personally fully support people doing their own research, but research is pretty hard, especially if you didn't study in school. Not to be like that, not to be nitpicking on anybody, but often we have to do research just to understand the research. So don't think you're gonna say, well, I'm gonna do my own research. I need time to do my own research, and then just read a paper and understand what's going on, or even read a newspaper and understand what's going on. You have to understand their source material. And sometimes to understand their source material, you gotta pick up a textbook and understand why they're making these assumptions, understand the vocabulary, understand the statistics. It's kind of hard to do your own research. That's why a lot of people choose not to do it. To me, however, I think it's great when people do their own research, especially when they suffer through those textbooks, especially when they suffer through those scientific papers, because it's making them smarter. This especially applies to young people who are still in school. So let's say Nicki Minaj is wrong. Let's say that she is. In finding out that she was wrong, a person who actually does the authentic research will become that much smarter and will have that much better grades, especially for young people who we know are not really susceptible to. Now, for the record, I do not trust the official narrative's data. I've looked over it. There is a lot of holes. There are a lot of things still coming to light. This is why we can't attribute all the mistakes to malice. They don't know. They're saying that they know. They're saying very confidently, we know this for certain. But then 6 months later, something else comes out. So they don't know. Even if the CDC tells you that they know, they don't know. Just look at their track record. The WHO, look at their track record. The FDA, oh my God, look at the FDA's track record. Ooh. They don't know. And then the mainstream media picks up on what the scientists are saying and they repeat it like gospel. First off, these journalists are not qualified to even understand what the scientists are saying. And second, it is not gospel. It is science. We just went over this. We just went over this with the hypothesis thing. I think there's a huge problem in our country with journalists being undereducated and overconfident. They call themselves fact checkers now, but who's fact checking the fact checkers? Oh, we got ourselves into a pickle. This isn't new though. This is a long-standing problem with reporters. They will often just reprint a press release, change a few words, and call it journalism. This goes back to manufacturing consent. This isn't new. What a journalist should do when they get a press release from the government or whoever wants to put out this information, they should read it and say, hey, is this true? Let me try to pick this apart. Where is it not true? They shouldn't just print it or repeat it as if it is fact. That's crazy, but it's not new. They've been doing it for a while. So keep that in mind about the mainstream media. Keep that in mind about working journalists. Oftentimes they're working because they don't upset the powers that be, and that's why they have a job. They are useful idiots. Now, to return to pettiness, if the official narrative is that Fauci is the sexiest man alive, I strongly doubt the official narrative. What are we doing here? We're just gonna say anything? Why is he posing for pictures? Aren't we in the middle of a pandemic? This is a side note. This has nothing to do with the rest of the video, but I am so tired of these old boomers. I miss the GIs. I want the GIs back. The GIs, those were some old people. If you didn't live through the Depression or the Nazis, you will be referred to as kid, dude, buddy, just like everybody else. If you did live through the Nazis, you are sir or ma'am. But we have to come to terms with the fact that the adults are dead. Why is this man posing for pictures? He has time for a photo shoot. I'm not going to go into it. This is not that video. You can go back to the Does History Repeat Itself video for that. Back to Nicki. Back to Nicki, everybody. We went to a dark place. So yes, Nicki does have the right to have questions. And yes, there are some real questions to be had. But no, Tucker Carlson is not our savior.
I mean, I lie. If I'm really cornered or something, I lie. I really try not to. I try never to lie on TV. I just don't, I don't like lying. I certainly do it, out of weakness or whatever.
This red team, blue team, culture war bullshit should not apply to COVID or our response to COVID. It's sickening. This is what I mean when I say the adults are dead. Do we have a problem or don't we? And if we do, we need to take it seriously. And if we don't, what are we doing here? Just a quick note, I am going to be making more videos about this, but I do have to warn you that we are facing a very perilous time in our history because we are dealing with a pandemic and we are dealing with mass hysteria. And at this moment, I don't know which one is more dangerous. That's all I'm going to say on that right now. What I think is funny, not funny haha, but what I think is funny is that Nicki came out and said what she said. And now people are attacking her personal life. They're attacking her man for what her man did. Like, do you think that scientists are at conferences and one of them stands up and says, I have found a very interesting thing about DNA replication and I want to share it with you now. And some other scientist stands up and says, oh, maybe I would be interested, but you are such a skank, Dr. Jill, that I can't even hear it. Like, this is not how discourse happens. Yes, Nicki Minaj's personal life is messy. Doesn't have anything to do with what she said. Doesn't mean we can avoid her question just because she has a messy personal life. This shit is stupid. We have gone stupid. We've gone stupid.
Shut up! Nah. Prosecute him. Why you think you done it?
Okay, number one, Your Honor. Just look at him.
He talks like a fag, too.
Oh, no. Back to the question at hand. Does this shot cause male infertility? Does it cause impotence? Our experts are saying no. They haven't found anything like that. However, for the longest time, they said it doesn't affect female menstruation, and they were gaslighting women who said, hey, my menstrual cycle is really screwed up now. And they were like, no, silly woman. What do you know about a menstrual cycle? These broads. And now they're studying it. This is what I mean when I say the science is constantly changing. So as far as we know, right now, the shot does not affect male fertility. It does not cause impotence. Right now, it seems as though this entire adverse reaction debate is being had between the elites on one side and Nicki Minaj on the other. And what will decide what is true is whether we can track down the swollen balls in question. Because that's where we are. That's where we are as a nation. So that's what's going to happen. I do suspect said balls don't exist, but I cannot wait to be proven wrong. Nicki, if you can find the man, if he's willing to step forward and give an interview, I will listen to him. I will contribute to a GoFundMe to study what is going on with him. I really think we should get to the bottom of this. She's raised a point and we should address it. Obviously, it's a point that other people must have as well, or else she wouldn't be saying it. She represents a certain amount of people, and there's a lot of support for her online now. There's a groundswell of support for her online now. So we cannot gaslight these people and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you just haven't done the right research, because research is changing by the day. I just think it's funny. It's like Dr. Schiermarker, Dr. Spearmarker. Who cares about that guy? Are these balls real? Like, this dude isn't performing autopsies every single day to give us a real answer to those questions. Unfortunately, it's in German, and then there's the translation from English to German, or German to English, and then we got to trace and find all these papers that are in different languages all over the world. It's really confusing. This is why it's the first time I've spoken about this, because the research is so overwhelming. I don't want to give you wrong information. But what I can say with certainty is that people have the right to have their objections. And we don't have the right to force them to put anything in their bodies if they're uncomfortable. I don't even know why that has to be said. Now, for the record, this video is not medical advice. It is not intended to be medical advice. To me, it doesn't matter if you're up to date on your boosters, if you have just gotten your first 2 shots, or if you haven't gotten the shot at all. That's not what matters. If you're coming here and you're willing to have open and honest discussion in good faith, then you're a good person as far as I'm concerned. Vaccine status has become the biggest fault line in our society right now, and it's just absolutely maddening. And it's happened over the past 6 months. People have just completely lost their minds. This is what I'm talking about with the mass hysteria. So everyone's welcome here. Everyone's welcome in these comment sections. Everyone's welcome on this channel. I couldn't even imagine saying that to somebody, what the people are saying to Nicki Minaj and other vaccine hesitant people. Like, where do you get off even saying that to people? You have to have this injection. Really? You have to? If you are one of these people who is acting in good faith and just wants to have an honest discussion, I really appreciate you being here and watching my videos. Subscribe. Oh, and please share it, because I have a feeling that YouTube will not be promoting this particular video.